It's about how PHPP can eliminate that gap, whereas the EPCs, there can still be a bit of a gap between what it's suggesting and how it actually performs. And this ties in with this idea of the environmental product data sheets that, in our opinion, it would be wise for those to be provided for all products. And there's talk about legislation making this mandatory. And it ties in a little bit with what we've talked about with PHPP. You know, is it fair for someone to buy a house and not see the data? And on the flip side, is it fair for someone to buy a product, think it's environmentally friendly, when actually they're not being presented all the facts?
Well, if you want to make environmentally sound decisions and you want to be responsible, you can only do that as far as the information that's provided. So if you're buying products, whether it's clothes, and you're buying them from a certain company because you want to avoid sweatshops, or whether you're buying a house because you don't want to have a negative impact on our environment, you rely or you put trust in the manufacturer, the supplier, to provide you with information. And would the market be a fair place just to rely on trust? I don't believe so. I think there's too much corruption in this world to rely on trust, and therefore I think that it is appropriate that EPDs are legislated so that people can have confidence that what they are buying is aligned with their own personal values.
Excellent. You mentioned briefly the energy market, and that 0.01% of the energy market is renewable. My understanding is that will be changing, or is that a case of maybe some greenwashing going on there? I don't know.
And you'll have to excuse my maths. It was 0.1% of the energy market is currently renewable. Yes, I would say 99% of energy advertisement at the moment implies renewable energy sources, so the numbers don't stack up. Decarbonisation is a slow process. The climate data that we are currently working from to do the PHPP calculations has recently been updated this year, and ironically they call it the falling short data. And what they mean by falling short is industry is missing the targets that were originally set. So we're having to push back our data as to our assumptions of where we are with things like decarbonising the grid. We are further away from it than we should be. And if we are going to achieve this standard by 2050, and we are currently over here at 2020, and by 2022 and then 2025, if we don't start making changes, incremental, to get up to here, the curve gets steeper and steeper and harder to achieve. So at this minute in time, energy companies are behind where they need to be in terms of decarbonising the electricity grid and the gas grid. So we have to do more in every aspect. We can't rely on our energy being green.
Yeah, so that really ties in with how important it is for us to tie back to these principles and have this principle-centered approach. One of the things that we're seeing is just how important action is, because we can discuss and we can debate and we can set policy, but until we actually take action, then we can't check to see if our principles are being worked with and, performance is actually improving in terms of our carbon emissions. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that, Dave.